Well, as you know, our next guest was introduced as the newest member of the Baltimore Ravens just last week here in Owings Mills. He is one of the best free safeties in the entire NFL. It's a pleasure to welcome in for the first time to GCR, Mr. Marcus Williams, who's now with us. Marcus, it's Glenn here in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time, and congratulations again on becoming a Baltimore Raven.
Man, appreciate it. Happy to be on. Happy to talk with you guys this morning.
It's great to hear your voice, dude. I was really, I don't want to be redundant because I know you answered so many questions while you were here last week. I remember at one point you kind of were honest and you were like, "Man, I don't know that it's really hit me yet." And I was just wondering, having a weekend removed and starting to get a sense of how your life has changed, has it really hit you? Have you had a moment to kind of reflect on how significant this is for you, signing a big deal and becoming a Baltimore Raven?
Man, I think it's definitely hit me over the past couple of days, being able to digest it and kind of fill it out. But I know it will hit me a little more once I'm actually there with the team,
Sure.
bonding with those guys, getting ready for the season. But it's definitely life changing. Just being able to, you know, go from being a young kid to now being in the NFL, living out my dreams is definitely a dream come true all over again.
I was thinking a lot, what you just brought up, that life changing. I know this might sound like a dumb guy question, but like, does that look different from one day to the next? Like, does your life change at all when you sign a deal this big, or do you like just go back and like, nah, it's just I'm going to get ready for work. It's just that work's going to be in a different place. Like, is there any way that life really changes from last Monday morning to this past Monday morning?
I don't think it changes in a big way for me. I've always been about my business and all that work, and just signing this, it's not going to change the way I approach things. I've always approached things with um, my 100%. So doing this is not going to change the way I work. I don't ever want to go into something thinking, oh, I only got to do this to be at this point because I'd rather be prepared for an opportunity every single time, even if I don't have the opportunity. So I think I still have I'm still in the same mindset. I'm still preparing the same way, and I just got right back to business. But it's definitely a great opportunity to go to another organization who's always in contention.
Can I ask it this way? I was talking to our buddy Mike Nolan, right, who was here in Baltimore for a long time, does some broadcast stuff, and I know was down there in New Orleans at one point with you, working with the linebackers down there. And I was asking him about you, and he was like, "Well, when I was there, Marcus wasn't like the most vocal guy because you were, a young guy, right? Like you weren't that place." Does any part of signing a deal like this, does it make you say like, "Hey man, I might need to, to become more of a leader, like that this is the way that it works when you get a big free agent deal and when you're being paid a certain amount, does any of that come along with it, that I need to take on more leadership now as I move into this role with the Ravens?"
Well, after he left, I probably became a little more vocal, but my actions always louder than my words. I'm
Okay.
a hard worker, and you can see that I'm a leader by the way I work, by the way I prepare. Um, and I lead in different ways. I may not be the rah guy, but I am the guy who's like, hey, we need to do this. I'm not gonna yell at you, but I also know how to speak to someone because the way you speak to someone and the way they can take what you're saying to them is a big factor to being a leader. Not every leader needs to be the person who's always standing out, but there's also leaders who's behind the scenes, who's okay. This is what we got to do. Who's directing people in the right way and speaking to them the way they want to be, spoke to. I'm that type of leader. I may not always yell, but I do speak my mind, and
Right.
when it's time, when we're in the game or if we're in the film room, I'm going to speak up. So I do speak up. I am a leader, and I've always been a leader since I was young, and it's just going to continue to carry over. I'm not going to come in here and try to force my way or anything. I'm just going
Right.
to come in here and just be the same person I've been.
It's so funny you talk. And we compare a lot to, of course, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed because they were icons here in Baltimore, and everybody thinks of Ray as being that. When you say rah rah, you're literally describing Ray Lewis, right? But you'll talk to guys and they'll be like, "Hey, Ed Reed was way more like impactful to me because when he did talk, I knew it was important. I knew I needed to listen because he felt like he needed to say something at that point. Are you more that type that like you're not going to say a lot, but when you do, maybe people should be listening because it's really important?
Yeah, I just lead the way I know how to lead.
Sure.
I may not lead how everybody else thinks I should lead, but I lead in the way that I think is best suit for the situation. Uh, but something in that way. But I do speak my mind. I speak up when the time presents itself. I mean, I'm not very shy, but I don't always need to be the person standing up in front of the team meeting room giving a speech.
Oh, I respect that, man. I respect that a lot. Marcus Williams is with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Marcus, I was really moved by how much you were talking about Eric Weddle last week, and I want to know more about how that relationship. Like we both know, we know you're both Utah guys, but you're not the same age, right? There was clearly no crossover there. How did that relationship come about that you ended up, sort of seeing him as a guy that you would text with and you would get, information from? How did all that happen?
Well, I met him actually one time when I was at Utah, and I'm like, wow, that's Eric Weddle. I mean, I never really watched pro sports, but I'm like, okay, this guy's in the NFL. I never really met any NFL guys until I got to college. So seeing that and then going back and looking at him and seeing what he does on TV, I'm like, wow, that's somebody who I want to be like. And then I actually got into contact with him. I can't remember how, but we got numbers. I talked to him, and it's like this guy is a professional in the way he works. He's he's a family man, and he also went to Utah. So it's like, okay, this is how I want to be. I want to be somebody who's able to be a leader, and he may not be get all the recognition that he deserves, but you could see that he was one of the top safeties in
Yeah.
the NFL for a long time. So
That was really cool, man. And you reached out to him and he was receptive and you kind of built a relationship from there.
yes, of course, yeah. So I'll probably try to link with him in the off season, pick his brain a little bit more. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's always responding whenever I text him, or so he's just somebody that I've looked up to since being in the league.
That's awesome, man. I'm fascinated by you saying you didn't really watch pro sports, like you didn't have like a basketball. You weren't like a Lakers fan or anything like that. You just weren't into pro sports.
I just grew up playing sports. I grew up just playing everything and anything. I just never really watched it. I was just an outside kid playing outside in the front yard, around the neighborhood. I really never just watched sports to watch it. I've never been like I need to watch sports. I'd rather just go out there and play it.
I dig it. I dig it, man. But most of the guys like me, we weren't good enough, so we had to watch sports and have that thing. But that's cool, man. That's cool that you were just that's the way it was. Do you find yourself watching anything else now? Like, do you if there's a football game on a Monday night and you're not playing, do you have any interest in watching other games?
Now that I've actually been in it, sometimes I catch myself like turning it on in the background, but when I'm watching it, sometimes I'm watching it as if I'm watching film.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, I'm watching film on this game. Oh, we play them, but I mean, it's like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, it's. I mean, I'll watch it here and there, especially if I'm going to play the team in the next coming weeks or something.
Let me tell you. I want to know about your path to football, Marcus. Growing up, was football always the sport for you, or did you play basketball? Did you play other sports? How did it end up
Right.
being that you became a football player?
Yeah, of course. I played basketball growing up. That was my first sport. And then when I was about 8 years old, I got into tackle football. So I've been playing tackle football since I was about 8 years old. And I mean, I used to play running back, stuff like that. When you were a kid in high school, I played receiver, really. And then I guess one day, one game, one of my friends got hurt in the game, and I actually got thrown in the game. I had 3 interceptions that year. I mean, that game. Sorry, I had three
Okay.
interceptions that game that he got hurt, and then I got offered to play safety. So that's kind of how I began to play safety, really, because I've always been really an offensive player. But
Yeah, I mean, if you can go get
once
the
I got
football
to
like that, yeah, I mean, obviously people are going to be interested in you at that point.
right,
Was that when you knew? Like, I always like to ask, when did you know you were going to be able to do it, like for the rest of your life, or as a vocation? Was that the moment where it like hit you like I might have a skill that other people don't have. This might be something I can keep doing at a really high level.
I've always had confidence in myself, and I've always felt like I could do anything. I just, once I got to college and I developed my skills for safety, because I really didn't play much safety in high school. I played like a couple games, maybe 3 games at safety. So once I got to college, my coach Morgan Scalley pretty much helped develop me into somebody who watches film, who's getting go getting the ball. He pretty much taught me how to be a safety because I really didn't play it. So once he started teaching me, I started getting the love for it more. And then I was like, I could do this. I always said I could do anything. And, there's always going to be doubters and people say you can't. So that just pushed me a little more. And, now we're here now.
I mean, it's worked out okay for you. It's worked out all
Yeah.
right for Marcus Williams, who's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Marcus, I was really moved when you were talking about your family at the press conference, and you got a little emotional there. And I did not know some of your story. I found out about how you got plugged in with the V Foundation, and a lot of the loss that you've experienced in your life. For people in Baltimore that maybe don't know that side of the story, could you tell us a little bit about a lot of the loss that you've experienced and why maybe it's made your relationship with your family perhaps even stronger and maybe what we saw as you were talking about them during your press conference.
Yeah. So I've lost quite a few of my family members to cancer, whether it's breast cancer or lung cancer. And it just shows me how that you need to cherish the family you have, the friends you have that much more. I never take a day for granted because that time is short. We never know what could happen today, tomorrow, in a couple of hours. So I just relish it. I cherish my family. I cherish my friends, and um, it's just a blessing that I was able to have them there with me. I have more people in my life that are just as close to family as my own immediate family is. And, I always make sure that they know that they're appreciated, whether it's a text or a call or it's just coming over to the house and having family time. But yeah, just being able to express, my emotions, even with the my clause, my cleat,
Yeah.
putting my grandfather on it. He passed away from lung cancer a couple of years ago, and he's been there with me, and he basically taught me a whole lot about never giving up, and even when times are hard, even when you're at your worst, you still can fight through and be happy and just continue to be yourself. His last words to me basically were, go out there and give it your all and never give up. He told me, go be the best safety in the NFL, and that was pretty much the last words I heard from him. He said, "I love you," and then after that, it was he passed away a week later. But I still think about him all the time. I think about all my relatives who have passed away from it. But yeah, it's crazy how fast things can change in your life.
Bro, I'm admitting to you that I'm a softie now because I got 2 kids. I got a 7-year-old, I got a 4-year-old, and I'm soft as hell ever since they came along. But bro, you just moved me right there. Like it is dusty in this room right now. You talking about what your grandfather told you before he passed away, and how that's driving you. That's incredibly and so fitting that you got hooked up with the V Foundation, right? Don't give up. Don't ever give up, right? Like
Right.
a really fitting sort of comparison. Is that a partnership that you're looking to continue with them?
Oh, of course. I mean, I love the partnership. We'll see what we have in store for the future. Definitely.
All right, I want to know about. So you talked about them, and it was really interesting listening to you talk about what happened in Minneapolis because at first it sounded like you just sort of were treating it like it's a football play, man. Things happen, and then I heard you talking about how your family was there for you in the aftermath of that. Can you tell me about a little bit more about that? Which was it easy for you just to say, "Hey, look, football plays happen sometimes." It was interesting listening to you talk about going for turnovers. Sometimes there's gonna be friendly fire, right? When you're going for the football, was it easier for you to compartmentalize that, all the attention that it got, and just say, "Look, man, in the same these things are gonna happen because I'm trying to make a play. I'm trying to be a playmaker."
You know, it's To me, it's kind of crazy that whenever anybody ever talks about me, they have to bring up the Minneapolis, play. Like out of all the years I've been one of the top safeties in the NFL, but the only thing that people recognize me is for that. At the end of the day, if you look at all the other film, you're like, this dude is a player,
Right.
and I know what type of player I am. So I mean, you can watch any other guys. You think any other guys in the NFL are not gonna make a mistake or not gonna mess up or miss a play, but that's just not the reality. The reality is, at any moment, it's just the inch. Like anything can happen in any game. And I mean, at the end of the day, that play happened. It's over. And I got up, shook it off, and we're here 6 years later, and I'm still one of the top safeties in the NFL. I
Yep.
mean, PFF is gonna grade me high. I just do every day in and day out. I work. I just got off the field working out, and it's like, okay, when you guys finally realize, let's play a different play out there. Let's play Marcus getting an interception on NFL Network. Let's play Marcus getting an interception on, because that's who I am. You see me getting interceptions. You see me making big plays. So that's what you are. That's what you do. That play's not going to define me. That play will never define me.
Yep.
People can bring it up, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, look where I'm at now. I'm still doing it. I'm still striving. I didn't quit. I didn't let it beat me down, and I'm still going out there and balling every week.
Man, that's clear. There's a reason why we're excited to have you here in Baltimore. Just another minute or two here with Marcus Williams. Marcus, I wanted to ask you about Marked as Winners and your brand and what that means to you and how it came about. What does that term mean, Marked as Winners?
It's basically what I just spoke about right now. Marked as winners, we are all marked as winners in our own given way. To me, it could be in your work, whatever you do. You could be a teacher, you could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, you could be a coach. But whatever it is, you are marked as winners when you realize, I will not let anything stand in my way. I will not let anybody tell me I can't do something. I'm going to persevere. I'm going to be relentless in my pursuit of greatness. So we are all winners in our own way. Your success is not someone else's success. You have to be successful in your own way and what you define as success. So for me, being marked as a winner is never giving up, never backing down, and staring adversity in the face and saying, I will overcome this adversity. I will be the best version of myself that I can be.
I mean, that's powerful. It's a powerful message. It's something that the brand's gonna. Is there a chance we can get like some purple gear now for the brand moving forward? Can we maybe work on that in the coming months?
Yeah, we're gonna work on some new designs so we can have that purple in there for sure.
I like that. I like the sounds of that. And then the last, I want to know about you as a gamer. How did that come about? I know you got a Twitch stream. Has gaming always been something that you've been into? Where did that come from?
Man, I've been gaming since I was younger. Whether it was Dreamcast, PlayStation
Okay,
One,
all right, what was when you were
PlayStation Two.
playing Dreamcast? What was the go-to game for you as a child playing Sega Dreamcast?
Man, Dreamcast, we were playing that. It might have been NBA Live. We were playing NBA Live on that heavy.
Uh, you weren't even but you weren't even a pro sports fan. Who were you playing as when you were playing NBA
I was
Live?
playing with the Lakers. I was
All
playing with the
right, you
Lakers
say
though.
Southern California. I get it. I get it.
I'm a California boy, so I was playing with
Right.
the Lakers. I mean, I never watched sports like that, but I played games, so that's probably how I knew who the people were though. I mean, I wasn't like blind to good players. I just
I
never
feel you.
watched it religiously
I
like
feel you,
everybody
man.
else.
I feel you. And you, when did you become a streamer, and how much fun is that for you? Having people involved and getting to see that side of your life.
Man, it's actually fun. I barely started a year ago streaming, and it's exciting. Just what letting people watch me. I may not get so many streams, but people need to start watching my stream. So I'll be on there heavy playing Call of Duty. But it's fun. I'm yelling, I'm screaming, I'm having a good time. I put my dog in the camera sometimes, but it's definitely fun. I love streaming, and it's something that I enjoy doing. I probably do it. I probably play every single day, but
That's awesome, man. That's
that's
awesome.
the beauty of it.
The Twitch stream, it's at Baby Magic MAGIK 32. Correct. That's where people can follow you on Twitch.
Yes, sir.
Awesome,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Let's get all the other plugs in too while we're at it. On Twitter at Marcus Williams, on
Yes, sir.
Instagram at Marcus Williams, and then markedaswinners.com in order to get the gear, correct?
Yes, sir.
Go check all that out. Give me one thing that you're dying to do now that you're in Baltimore. That when you get back up here, you want to go experience now that you're going to be in Baltimore for the foreseeable future.
They told me to go check out the crab cake, so I guess that's my first thing I gotta stop and do.
Yeah, man. It's got look, dude. You've been in a hell of an eating town in New Orleans, right? I don't know how you've been able to stay in shape. Because whenever I go to New Orleans, I come back a week later and I weigh about 40 pounds more. I have no idea how you guys do it. It's an unbelievable town, but you're not going to be let down when you get to experience the seafood up this way. I promise you that.
So
Mark,
well,
Marcus, I really appreciate you taking the time for us, man, this morning. This has been a lot of fun getting to know you, and you have really moved me with the story about your family and your grandfather and how it's pushed you, dude. We can't wait to see you out here on the field. Thank you for taking the time. Look forward to having you back here and getting to know you a little bit more, all right?
man, no doubt. Thank you for having me on.